I've got a smirk on my face, as you can see. Normally, in the past, when I do a video, I've always got some kind of some anecdote or some wacky introduction, and I can do some impressions. Excuse me, I've got dinner stuck in my teeth. And I think you've heard me do Matt Hardy. I think I've done some other people, and there are a couple people I'm going to do, some very well-known YouTubers. Truth Slayer is going to be one I will definitely do. But before I get to that, and before I get to the two topics I want to talk about, for those of you that ever watched the WWF Beyond the Mat documentary, or the Beyond the Mat documentary, or whatever it was called, there's a famous moment that I will never forget, and I love mimicking it and doing it, and whenever I get the chance to doing that kind of voice. And if you've not seen it, please type in this great moment where Vince McMahon is explaining to one prospective wrestler, Darren Drozdov, the idea of a character he has called Puke. And I think people will know where I'm going with this, because if you type in Vince McMahon Puke, you'll see what I mean. And there's a classic moment where he's like, what I want you to do is try not to get it on the rest of my coffee table. You feeling nauseous, huh? Need a cup of coffee, huh? You feeling sick, huh? Oh my God, he's coming to puke! Oh my God, he's gotta puke! Oh my God, he's coming to puke! He's gotta puke! He's gotta puke! Oh, he's gotta puke! Ha 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 ha! Anyways, I just always wanted to do that on my channel. Now, it has been so long since I've done a video, or it feels like so long, and I just got done watching the Steve Austin documentary, the new one that come out, and I had a lot of fun watching that. And I was watching that, and then I watched some old FCW, or some recent FCW stuff. That's the WWE's little minor developmental system they have going on. And I was watching one person in particular called Dean Ambrose, or on the indie scene known as John Moxley before he signed with the WWE. And I've been a fan of his for a while, and if you go back to one of my old videos, you will actually see me talking about him and saying I thought there was something that he had. And there was something about him that I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And it was, in the back of my mind, back in the recesses of my mind, I'd say, he really reminds me of someone. I can't put my finger on it. There's something about what he does, with the way he works, and the way he projects himself, and it's very, very familiar. I couldn't put my finger on it. And then I watched the Steve Austin documentary, and this is going to sound completely bizarre, and it might sound like a hype train getting ready to jet off out of the station. But there is something about John Moxley / Dean Ambrose that really reminds me of Stone Cold Steve Austin, or a young Steve Austin. It's just something very, very, very familiar. They're like parallels of each other almost. Although Moxley isn't playing the redneck with the bald head and the shaved you-know-what. But you know what I mean. When you can see shades of a certain persona or shades of the way someone works in someone else. And it just hit me now that Moxley or Dean Ambrose really reminds me of Steve Austin. Go back, actually, if none of you have actually watched him or seen or heard of him, type some of his matches in and type some of his promos in, and maybe you'll see what I mean. There's just something about him. He has that same kind of rebellious spirit and that rebellious attitude, like Steve Austin, and the way he works and moves is very similar to Steve Austin. And who knows? Hopefully one day he'll be one of those guys that comes up in the next year and is one of the key figures in turning the business around and making it better for us all to watch and to enjoy and, be that next breakout guy. But then again, it's the WWE. You never know what they have planned for someone. Speaking of people that I think will break out next year, and this is now going to MMA, I want to talk about Ben Henderson and that fight with Clint Guida. I really, really enjoyed that fight, and I watched the Fox show. And I've been watching Ben Henderson for a very long time, and a good friend of mine on YouTube, mixed martial artist, seen him fight live. And I'm very impressed with his skills. I mean, I watched his fight with Donald Cerrone, I think it was in September of 2009, and the man was just escaping all of Cerrone's attempts at submissions. And it was just this great fight, and I was really, really impressed. I became a big fan of his back then. And I'd seen more and more of his fights, and unfortunately, there was the famous fight with Anthony Pettis, which he lost. But I never really lost hope in the guy. I'm not one of those guys that, when someone loses, oh, well, he's washed up, he was never any good, which is an attitude that's quite common with a lot of fans on here, and that's something that needs to be addressed at some point. But I never kind of gave up hope in him, and then when he kind of bounced back from that loss, and then he went on to beat Jim Miller, which was a very, very credible victory in my opinion, and then go on to the Fox show. And while it wasn't aired on the TV broadcast, for him to go out and have the exciting fight that we all knew he was going to have with Clay Guida really once again confirmed to me just how talented and how good this man is. And in my opinion, and I don't care what Dana White says, but in my honest opinion, they have a chance right there to really, really make a star. Or maybe 2 stars with Clay Guida and Ben Henderson. Because Henderson is so exciting to watch and just so unique, and I wouldn't like call him like, you could basically build him up to be the John Jones of 155 pounds basically, and he's always been exciting, but the WEC doesn't have the same exposure that the UFC has, and now with things all falling into place and the WEC merging with the UFC and the Fox network, and I can see the UFC really wanting to build up the smaller divisions, 155, 145, 135. I could really see Ben Henderson breaking out next year. And he is next in line to fight Frankie Edgar. And I think that he gives Edgar a lot of problems. He's a very big 155-pound guy. He's a guy that has also said that he would fight at 170, and I believe he could, because he's very, very big if you haven't seen him. He always comes across very well in interviews and very likeable, and maybe next year he could have a breakout year. Anyways, 2 random crazy things I was thinking about. Sorry for those who might have found that introduction a bit full on, but let me know what you think about either topic. Is Ben Henderson going to have a breakout year next year? What do you think of him? Do you think he could become the champion at 155 pounds? Do you think that he could also be a 170 pounder? What kind of problems will he present there? And for the wrestling people, type in John Moxley and see if you can see what I can see. Or maybe it's just me, or maybe he reminds people of someone else. Anyways, let me know what you think. Write some comments. It's good to see you all back again. And yeah, that's it. Take care, guys, and I'll be back very soon.